welcome to Comprehensive English Lab, your complete path to mastering English. To maximize your learning, pause as needed, repeat each sentence, and write down what you hear. This will boost your listening, speaking, and note-taking skills. The full script will appear at the end for you to check. If this helps, please like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and share with friends learning English. Thank you.
Choices in life and how different we could have been.
It was a mild September evening in the Cotswolds, the kind where the air carries the faint scent of damp earth and ripening apples. The sun had just dipped behind the rolling hills, painting the sky in soft pinks and golds that faded slowly into twilight. Grandad sat on the old wooden bench in the back garden, the one he'd built himself decades ago from oak planks salvaged from an old barn. The bench had seen better days, its paint chipped in places, moss creeping along the edges, but it was sturdy, like Grandad himself. His two grandchildren, Jack, 16, and Ellie, 14, had come down from the bustle of London for the weekend to visit their grandparents in this quiet village. They'd spent the afternoon kicking a football around the uneven lawn, laughing as they chased it into the flower beds. But now, as the light softened, they sat either side of him on the bench, their trainers muddy from the grass, faces still flushed from the game.
What if you'd chosen something completely different? Like, what if you'd never come back to this village after the army?
Every day, lad. Some small part of me still walks those other paths. The mind's a funny thing. It likes to wander off on its own, showing you the forks in the road you didn't take.
Tell us the real ones, Grandad. Not the nice story you tell at Christmas about how you met Nan, and everything fell into place perfectly.
All right then, but this stays right here between us three. Mind, no putting it on your phones or those social media things. No telling your mom I got all philosophical on you. Promise me that?
Promise.
Promise. Cross my heart.
Good. When I was 19, fresh out of national service in the early 60s, I stood at 3 clear crossroads in my life, 3 proper choices that could have changed everything. I still see them sometimes in my dreams, like 3 heavy wooden doors set in a long stone corridor in one of those old English castles, each one promising something different, each one heavy to push open. Let me start with the first door. Staying in London after my service ended, my mate Tommy from the barracks, good bloke, always quick with a joke, had a cousin who ran a small garage down in Camden Town. They fixed everything from old Austins to the new Minis that were all the rage. They needed a young lad who wasn't afraid of getting his hands dirty with grease, who could work late into the night under flickering fluorescent lights. If I'd walked through that door, my life would have been a world away from this peaceful garden. I'd have woken up every morning in a cramped bedsit near the canal, the sounds of traffic rumbling outside instead of birdsong, days spent bent over engines, hands forever stained black with oil, the radio blasting the latest Beatles or Rolling Stones tunes to keep the rhythm going. I'd have learned every shortcut through the city, from King's Cross down to the East End markets, dodging the buses and the crowds. Probably would have met a London girl along the way, someone sharp as a tack, with a quick laugh and a no-nonsense attitude. Maybe we'd have courted in the pubs around Camden Lock, sharing pints and fish and chips on Friday nights. Married young, like folks did back then, and set up in a little flat above the garage. 2 kids, maybe 3, running around the yard playing with spanners as toys. Weekends would have been football at Arsenal or Spurs if I could get tickets, or drives out to the coast in a beat-up van if business was good. I'd have watched London change before my eyes. The tower blocks shooting up in the 60s, the motorways carving through the suburbs, the whole city getting louder, dirtier, more alive with possibility and chaos. But here's the rub. I'd never have met your Nan at that village dance, never have planted these apple trees you're always pinching fruit from. And you two, well, you wouldn't be sitting here on this bench with me, muddy trainers and all. Some other grandchildren might have been, In some other life. But not you.
That feels weird to think about. Like we're not supposed to exist or something.
It should feel strange, Jack. Every road not taken leaves shadows behind. Quiet ones that don't shout. But they whisper when you're alone. They remind you of the cost of choosing.
What was the second door like, Grandad? The one that sounds far away.
Ah, the second door. Canada. That one came knocking in 1962. One of the officers in my unit, a proper gent who'd served in the war and emigrated after, he wrote me a letter out of the blue. Said there was booming work in Toronto for mechanics like me, lads who knew British engines inside out. The car plants were desperate, building Fords and Chevys for the North American market. He'd sponsor me, sort the immigration papers, even lend a hand finding lodgings. If I'd taken that door, my life would have been all wide open spaces and biting cold. I'd speak with a bit of a Canadian twang now, eh? Saying sorry for everything and complaining about the weather like a local. Mornings shoveling snow off the driveway in winter, thick coats and boots, breath fogging in the air. Working in a massive factory, assembly lines humming. Good money in my pocket for once. Might have married a girl from Ontario, sturdy, kind, maybe someone whose family came over from Italy after the war, bringing recipes for pasta that make your mouth water. Our kids would call me Pop instead of Grandad, speaking English with those flat vowels, knowing hockey better than cricket. They'd hear stories about England, but think it was all tea and rain, nothing more. I'd have sent money home every month without fail. Your mum and her siblings would have had new winter coats, proper school shoes, books they needed, all paid for from across the Atlantic. But she'd have grown up seeing my face mostly in faded black and white photos stuck on the mantelpiece. Visits would be rare, expensive flights I couldn't afford often, and if I ever came back for good, if the homesickness got too much, I'd have felt like a stranger in my own country. The tea too weak, the pubs too smoky and quiet, the rain a gentle drizzle instead of the howling gales I remembered. That letter? I tore it up in the barracks latrine one rainy night, pieces flushing away. Didn't want anyone finding it and persuading me otherwise when doubt crept in.
Do you regret not going, Grandad? Canada sounds exciting. Snow and all.
Some nights I do, lad. When the telly shows those snowy landscapes or I smell wood smoke in autumn and it takes me back to what I imagined. But regret's like carrying a wet coat on a long walk. It just weighs you down, makes everything colder. Better to carry the small ache of what if and keep putting one foot in front of the other.
And the third door? The one that sounds saddest.
The third door was the clearest to see and the hardest to shut tight. In 1964, while stationed in Plymouth for a bit, I met a girl named Margaret. Not your Nan. This was before. She worked at the library counter near the dockyard, surrounded by stacks of books that smelled of old paper and ink. Quiet voice, like a gentle breeze, always with a book of poetry in her apron pocket. We'd chat every time I borrowed something to pass the long watches. Hardy, Yeats, the Romantics. She dreamed of being a teacher, inspiring kids in a proper school. I told her my ambitions. Building things that lasted, houses or bridges, or maybe my own little workshop someday. We spun plans like spider silk. If the service ended peacefully, we'd head to Exeter, pretty city, historic. I'd join the building firms repairing those old Georgian terraces after the war damage. She'd train at the local college, become Miss Margaret to a classroom full of eager faces. We'd rent a small house near the River Exe, with a garden for her wildflowers and shelves for my tools and her novels. Walks along the quayside holding hands, talking about the future. But life had other ideas. My posting shifted suddenly up north to a base near Manchester, colder, grimmer. She wrote letters at first, full of news and poems copied out. Then they slowed, then stopped. Word came through a mutual friend she'd met someone in her evening class. A teacher trainee, steady and local. They married the next year. I never held it against her. Youth doesn't wait for uncertain futures. That heartbreak taught me hard. Stop making grand plans that stretch too far. Life laughs at them. So when my service ended and the chance came to return here, to this sleepy Gloucestershire village where I grew up, I grabbed it. Met your Nan the following summer at the village fete. She was running the tombola, loud and stubborn as they come, arms strong from farm work, could carry 2 hay bales without a sweat. She teased my serious face, said I looked like I needed a good meal and a laugh. I married her because she brought light back into the grey days.
He paused, the bench creaking as he leant back, eyes distant. The garden seemed to hold its breath, the apple leaves rustling softly in the breeze.
So, which door was the right one in the end?
There isn't a single right door, Jack. Just the ones you step through and the ones you leave shut. Each choice hands you gifts and snatches others away forever, like a trade in an old market. Because I chose this path, here you are on this bench. You slip into those soft West Country accents when you're relaxed, away from London's hurry. You know the earthy smell of rain on grass, the raucous call of rooks settling in the trees at dusk, the sharp tang of apples picked fresh and tart. You've got a Grandad who can mend a punctured tire or spot constellations like Orion on a clear night sky. But staying meant I never saw the Canadian Rockies blanketed in snow. Never raised kids with that transatlantic drawl. Never tinkered in a garage smelling of fresh rubber and exhaust, building a life from scratch abroad. Never strolled a frozen lake hand in hand with someone calling me by another name. Those other me's exist somewhere, in the land of what if. They visit at 3 a.m., silent watchers in the dark, wearing faces I might have had. They don't accuse, they just remind.
Grandad, will we face doors like that? Choices that big?
You will, lass. You are already. Picking friends, subjects for A-levels, dreaming of uni near home or far afield. Each one's a door creaking open or shut. They close quietly behind you. But hear this. The pain of a missed door fades. Never opening any? That haunts forever. Choose boldly, hearts full, even if hands tremble. Pick love over security now and then, courage over ease. And looking back, thank the closed doors. They shaped the one you walked.
He ruffled their hair gently, chuckling.
We're not that muddy or noisy, you know?
You are, and it's grand. Wouldn't swap it.
Silence fell, stars pricking the sky. An owl hooted low from the woods.
If I study abroad someday, will it break your heart?
I'll miss you fiercely every day, but proud too. This bench waits for tales of deep snow, odd accents, fresh ghosts on your road.
I get it a bit now. Not all, but enough.
Enough's all we get, son.
The bench swayed softly, 3 souls sharing the cooling air, doors open and closed woven into their stories.